Hello students, this time I am back again with my literature book in my hand, equals a collection of ISC short stories. I started with The Tempest, Act 1, Scene 1, and now I am back, but this time with prose. And my board is giving you the idea which prose piece I am going to do today. Yes, it's your first chapter, Salvatore. Salvatore is very easy story. So, and since it has not come in 2019, there are always chances of its coming. So, if you are class 11, you need not be so worked up. If you are in 12 watching my video, then it might come. I always say might come. I never say it will come because I am not the paper setter. But of course, the three which have come, they are the fire or something, to build a fire. Then you have the singing lesson to build a fire, and then the story of an hour. These are the three which have come. But anyway, if you are in class 11, you will need to study everything because you have your exams, the half yearly or terminals or whatever you say. Anyway, now without wasting any more time, let's get to work. Salvatore, it's written by one of the most famous authors of his time, one of the most famous author in English literature, W. Somerset Maugham. It's not Maugham. So many people pronounce it wrong. I wonder if I can do it. This is how. So immediately the author catches our attention, or the narrator. It's rather the author. He uses this line. The narrator is as if saying, I wonder if I can do it. So naturally we would be wanting to know what does he want to do. I knew Salvatore first when he was a boy of 15 with a pleasant face, a laughing mouth and carefree eyes. So if you get the character of Salvatore, these are the things you need to underline in your book. What are they? Pleasant face, laughing mouth and carefree eyes. He used to spend the morning lying about the beach with next to nothing on, and his brown body was as thin as a rail. So it was not that he had a very well-built muscular body. He was quite thin, and as people are in those parts, bare-bodied. He was full of grace, very graceful. He was in and out of the sea all the time, swimming with the clumsy, effortless stroke common to the fisher boys. Yeah, they don't go anywhere and learn swimming. So the clumsy methods in which they trial and error and they learn swimming. Scrambling up the jagged rocks on his hard feet, for except on Sundays he never wore shoes. Yeah, Sundays why? He would go to the church. So that is the day when he wore shoes. And on other days, no shoes. He would throw himself into the deep water with a cry of delight, perfectly born in the lap of nature. His father was a fisherman who owned his own little vineyard, and Salvatore acted as nursemaid to his two younger brothers. Yeah, he was like a nurse to his two younger brothers, taking care of them. So he was the eldest. He shouted to them to come inshore when they ventured out too far, and made them dress when it was time to climb the hot vine-clad hill for the frugal midday meal. So he was like as if a mother to these. Mother was in the house cooking and all that, and here he was doing the job of the mother, looking after his two small brothers. When they went too far, hey, come back, and he would bring them back. And not only that, he would make them dress when it was time for them to have their meals. But boys in these southern parts grow apace, and in a little while he was madly in love with a pretty girl who lived on the Grand Marina. So 15-year-old boy, and soon he grows up to become a man and falls in love desperately with a girl living in Grand Marina. She had eyes like forest pools and held herself like a daughter of the Caesars. Very royal. She behaved as if she came from a royal family. They were affianced, but they could not marry till Salvatore had done his military service, And when he left the island, which he had never left in his life before, to become a sailor in the navy of King Victor Emmanuel, he wept like a child. He is leaving for the first time. He is leaving his family, his two little brothers, his parents, and not only that, he is leaving his beloved behind. So he cries. He's a very simple fellow. So he cries like a child. It was hard for one who had never been less free than the birds to be at the beck and call of others. Yeah, this is true. He was a free child. He did as he wished. And there, hey, you come here, you do this, you do that, under orders, taking orders from others is not the life he had been accustomed to. And it was harder still to live in a battleship with strangers instead of in a little cottage among the vines. Yeah, so here he could live in a free manner, and there as if in prison, held in captivity. And when he was ashore to walk in noisy, friendless cities with streets so crowded that he was frightened to cross them, when he had been used to silent paths and the mountains and the seas, so poor boy, he was a child of nature living surrounded by mountains and seas, and now to live in cities, he felt quite uncomfortable. He felt frightened. I suppose it had never struck him that Ischia, which he looked at every evening, it was like a fairy island in the sunset. To see what the weather would be like next day, or Vesuvius, pearly in the dawn, had anything to do with him at all. Vesuvius is the volcano, we say. But when he ceased to have them before his eyes, he realized in some dim fashion that they were as much a part of him as his hands and his feet. He was dreadfully homesick. He felt very homesick. There are some people who really can't adjust. They feel so homesick that unless they are allowed to go back home, they'll fall severely ill. No, he didn't fall ill, but he was not at all happy. It was the hardest of all to be parted from the girl he loved with all his passionate young heart. Yeah, when people, young boys, they are in love, the whole world revolves around that beloved. So for him, he wrote to her long, ill-spelt letters in which he told her how constantly he thought of her and how much he longed to be back. Yeah, lengthy love letters written clumsily. Actually, he had never thought he would write love letters. He had always thought he would remain in that island, but no, there was compulsory military service to be done. He was sent there, here and there, to Spezia, to Venice, to Bari, and finally to China. These are the special places he was sent to as the soldier. Here he fell ill of some mysterious ailment. Where? In China. He fell ill of some mysterious ailment that kept him in hospital for months. Not 1 day or 2 days, for months. So it must have ruined his physique. He bore it with the mute and uncomprehending patience of a dog. So here he is being compared to a dog. When he learned that it was a form of rheumatism that made him unfit for further service, his heart exulted, for he could go home, and he did not bother. In fact, he scarcely listened when the doctors told him that he would never again be quite well. So to him it was like a good news. Oh my God, they say I'm not fit to do the king's service anymore. I'll be allowed to go back home. So the doctors are telling Salvatore, listen, you won't be again as fit you had been. You'll never recover. But it didn't matter to him. What mattered to him when he's going back to his own people, to his beloved, the woman he loves? What did he care when he was going back to the little island he loved so well and the girl who was waiting for him? When he got into the rowing boat that met the steamer from Naples and was rowed ashore, he saw his father and mother standing on the jetty and his two brothers. So his whole family has come to give him a very nice reception. They have come to take him back home. Big boys, yeah. So his brothers are not the small kids whom he used to nursemaid. They have grown up. And he waved to them. His eyes searched. So he's going on looking for this girl. Among the crowd that waited there for the girl. So where is she? So he's trying to find her out. No, but she's not there. He could not see her. There was a great deal of kissing when he jumped up the steps, and they all, emotional creatures, cried a little when they exchanged their greetings. Oh, Ma, how are you? Hey, son. And they embrace and they cry. Simple people, now they know to express their emotions. We city people, we keep our emotions compressed. He asked where the girl was. His mother told him that she did not know. Oh, I don't know why she hasn't come. They had not seen her for 2 or 3 weeks. So in the evening, when the moon was shining over the placid sea and the lights of Naples twinkled in the distance, he walked down to the Grand Marina to her house. He wants to go and tell her, see, I have come back. She was sitting on the doorstep with her mother. He was a little shy because he had not seen her for so long. He asked her if she had not received the letter that he had written to her to say that he was coming home. So before coming home, he had written a letter telling her that, see, I'm coming back home. They have relieved me from my duties. I am not needed to serve the king anymore. And he expected that she would be there at the jetty to receive him. She did not. So now he himself comes in. He asks, did you receive my letter? Yes, they had received the letter, and they had been told by another of the island boys that he was ill. Yes, that was why he was back. Was it not a piece of luck? So he's asking, see how lucky I am. My illness brought me back home. But he doesn't know what is coming to him. Something very sad, a great blow. The doctor talked a lot of nonsense, but he knew very well that now that he was home again, he would recover. This is what he tells her. They were silent for a while, and then the mother nudged the girl. This is what we say nudge. When you push someone with your elbow, this is nudging. She did not try to soften the blow. She told him straight out with blunt directness of her race that she could not marry a man who would never be strong enough to work like a man. My God, how cruel of her. The man who loves her so much, and she's very practical, straightforward. See here, Salvatore, let me tell you that I cannot marry you, and because you won't be able to support me, you won't be able to work like a man, you won't be able to support me, so how can I marry you? They had made up their minds, her mother and father, and she and her father would never give consent. My father will never allow. We have decided. We have talked over it at home, all three of us, mother, father and I, and we have decided that we are not going to continue with this alliance anymore. She tells him bluntly. Can you imagine what a blow it must have been to this young, simple boy? When Salvatore went home, he found they all knew. Yeah. Each of the family members, they knew. The girl's father had been to tell them what they had decided, but they had lacked the courage to tell him themselves. I think it would have been better had they told. He wouldn't have gone and been given such a big blow by these people. He wept on his mother's bosom. When you are in trouble, when you are sad, the only person who can give you all the comfort and solace and consolation is your mother. So he cries at her bosom. He was terribly unhappy, but he did not blame the girl. What a nice person. We always blame others. But though he was so badly treated, he doesn't blame her. He thinks, yes, she has a right to do it. A fisherman's life was hard, and it needs strength and endurance. He knew very well that a girl could not afford to marry a man who might not be able to support her. So why blame her? Why are you talking bad about her? She needs a man to support her, and I won't be able to because it's a tough life. And the doctors have told that I won't be fit again, as fit as I had been. His smile was very sad, and his eyes had the look of a dog that has been beaten. But he did not complain, and he never said a hard word of the girl he had loved so well. This is true love. You don't see the faults of the person whom you love. Then a few months later, when he had settled down to the common round, working in his father's vineyard and fishing, his mother told him that there was a young woman in the village who was willing to marry him. Her name was Azanta. She is as ugly as the devil, he said. Yeah, so that woman who wants to marry him, she is very bad looking. And remember, the girl whom she had wanted to marry, she was so good looking. So what a contrast. But she is offering to marry, and that girl had refused him. She was older than he. Yeah, another thing, older than him. 24 or 25, and she had been engaged to a man who, while doing his military service, had been killed in Africa. So Salvatore survived the military service, but he came back ill, and the person to whom she was betrothed, that person died. She had a little money of her own, so she could support herself. And if Salvatore married her, she could buy him a boat of his own, and they could take a vineyard that by happy chance happened at the moment to be without a tenant. So she knows that even if Salvatore won't be as strong, she can support him, she can be by his side, because she knows him to be a good man, and she knows the value of these good qualities. His mother told him that Azanta had seen him at the festa and had fallen in love with him. Salvatore smiled his sweet smile and said he would think about it. Okay, ma, I'll think on it. On the following Sunday, dressed in the stiff black clothes in which he looked so less well than in the ragged shirt and trousers of every day, he went up to the high mass at the parish church and placed himself so that he could have a good look at the young woman. He wanted to have a look at Azanta. When he came down again, he told his mother he was willing. Okay, ma, I agree. So you can settle the marriage. Well, they were married, and they settled down in a tiny whitewashed house in the middle of a handsome vineyard. Salvatore was now a great, big, husky fellow, tall and broad, but still with that ingenuous smile and those trusting, kindly eyes that he had as a boy. So he must have grown up into a very stout man. But he has that simplicity in him, the childlike innocence in him. He had the most beautiful manners I have ever seen in my life, and these are the things which matters. Azanta was a grim-visaged female. Visage means face, grim means sad, quite serious and sad, with decided features, and she looked old for her years. As it is, she is older than Salvatore, and she looks old for her years. So if she is 24 or 25, she must be looking 30. But she had a good heart. This is what matters. And she was no fool. She had seen the good qualities of Salvatore, knew what a gem he was, and she had chosen him. I used to be amused by the little smile of devotion that she gave her husband when he was being very masculine and masterful. She never ceased to be touched by his gentle sweetness. But she could not bear the girl who had thrown him over, and notwithstanding Salvatore's smiling expostulations, she had nothing but harsh words for her. She was very angry with that girl who had jilted this gem of a man. So even though Salvatore tried to pacify her, what is her fault and all that, she would never forgive that girl. But if that girl had not rejected, how would she have got such a gem of a person as her husband? But still, she doesn't think of her own good. She is sad at the hurt Salvatore had, or the blow that Salvatore had received on account of the betrayal of that young girl. Presently, children were born to them. It was a hard enough life. All through the fishing season, towards evening, he set out in his boat with one of his brothers for the fishing grounds. It was a long pull of 6 or 7 miles, and he spent the night catching the profitable cuttlefish. Then there was the long row back again in order to sell the catch in time for it to go to the early boat to Naples. Very difficult life, fisherman's life, very difficult. At other times he was working in his vineyard from dawn till the heat drove him to rest, and then again, when it was a trifle cooler, till dusk. Often his rheumatism, this is what he had acquired when he got ill after doing his service in China, prevented him from doing anything at all. Pain in the body. And then he would lie about the beach smoking cigarettes with a pleasant word for everyone, notwithstanding the pains that racked his limbs. So rheumatism It is a dreadfully very painful disease, painful illness. Each of your limbs, they pain. So in spite of it, he would have a kind word and a nice and polite word for everyone. And people would, those who were foreigners, though belonged to that place, they knew about him. But those who were foreigners, they never knew about the illness or the pain that he is bearing. Because outwardly he never showed it. He had a smiling face. So they thought, oh, he's a lazy fellow. The foreigners who came down to bathe and saw him there said that these Italian fishermen were lazy devils. Sometimes he used to bring his children down to give them a bath. Yeah, remember, like he used to nursemaid his two younger brothers, now his children. They were both boys, and at this time the elder was 3 and the younger less than 2, quite small kids, babies, infants. They sprawled about at the water's edge, stark naked, completely naked, with no clothes on their bodies. And Salvatore, standing on a rock, would dip them in the water. The elder one bore it with stoicism. Indifferent to pleasure and pain is a person who is a stoic. What is stoic? Stoic is a person who is indifferent to pleasure or pain. They don't matter to you. So who bore it like a stoic? The elder one. But the baby screamed lustily, oh, Papa is dipping him in the waters. Salvatore had enormous hands like legs of mutton, coarse, rough and hard from constant toil. But when he bathed his children, holding them so tenderly, drying them with delicate care, upon my word, they were like flowers. He would seat the naked baby on the palm of his hand and hold him up, laughing a little at his smallness. Oh, he's so small. And his palm, quite broad palm, and the baby seated here, and he would laugh as if Gulliver in the land of Lilliputs. And his laugh was like the laughter of an angel. So this is a simile. The laughter of Salvatore is compared to the laughter of an angel, and you have the word like there. Like is a simile. His eyes then were as candid as his child's. Here also a simile. His eyes are compared to the eyes of his child, and we use the words as. When there is like and as in comparison, we call it a simile. I started by saying that I wondered if I could do it, and now I must tell you what it is that I have tried to do. In the beginning he just kept it a suspense, and now he is telling us what he had tried. I wanted to see whether I could hold your attention for a few pages while I drew for you the portrait of a man, just an ordinary fisherman, who possessed nothing in the world except a quality which is the rarest, the most precious and the loveliest that anyone can have. So what is that quality? Heaven only knows why he should so strangely and unexpectedly have possessed it. How did he come to possess it? Only God knows. All I know is that it shone in him with a radiance that, if it had not been unconscious and so humble, would have been to the common run of men hardly bearable. And in any case, you have not guessed what the quality was. I will tell you. So what is that quality which Salvatore has? The rarest quality, goodness, just goodness. It is on account of his goodness that he bore the blow which he had got from the person whom he loved so passionately, that young girl. It is his goodness. He never said anything bad about her. He took his side. He took her side. He thought of her, and he saw that she had done nothing wrong. A fisherman's life is hard. And it is this goodness which Azanta was able to trace, and that is why she asked for him. She fell in love with this man, and knowing that he could not be so strong as is required, she decided to support him. So a very nice story, and here you will get lengthy answers, or maybe in 3 parts. Question might be in 3 parts, or you will get lengthy ones, but no reference to context as you had in your ICSC. So anyway, you will have to read it well, and then you will have to give importance to the theme, and again the title as you did in your ICSC, and I am sure you won't have any problems in handling it, because It is a very simple poem. So what are the things and the character of Salvatore? And to some extent it is Azanta, but mainly Salvatore. He is the main protagonist, the dominant figure, as the name suggests only, in this story. So I hope I have been able to explain to you in as lucid manner as possible. If you have liked this video, press the like button and what? If you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do, and wait for my future videos to come. Next one will be on the poem. One of the poems will come soon, and after that I'll go back to Tempest because it's a long journey, the Tempest 5 acts. So have a good time, and let me bid you goodbye for the time being.